So you want to learn how to take awesome cinematic videos with your drone? Well, you've come to the right place. Have you heard of all this camera jargon about shooting 4K at 60 FPS or filming in D-Log while having an ND filter to get the colors and exposure just right? Well, in this video, we'll clear up all of that so you can feel comfortable and confident when filming videos with your drone. From filming for Airbnbs to stepping up your real estate game, knowing how to fly a drone smoothly and cinematically can help you out a lot. And it's really not that hard, it just requires a bit of practice. Hey everyone, welcome to our beginner's guide to drone videography. I'm Adam with UAV Coach, and this is part 2 of our photo and video series, where I'll be teaching you all of the basics from capturing your drone footage to editing it. Make sure to turn on notifications so you don't miss out. In this video, we'll cover the basic equipment you need, different gimbal settings you can change to capture smoother shots, explain how frame rate, color profiles, and other settings work, and 5 drone shots you can practice today. Without further ado, let's fly in. Let's first go over some basic equipment. Besides having your drone and controller in hand, there are a few extra things you should have in your bag. First are extra batteries. Most drones have a battery life of between 20 to 40 minutes. This might sound like a lot of time, but when taking video, you could realistically spend a few minutes just flying to the spot and planning out your path. And then once you get filming, you could think of other ideas or movements you want to try. Instead of trying to rush them, you can have peace of mind that you have some extra batteries waiting for you. This way, you could spend an hour or 2 out in the field flying if you have time. Also, if it's colder out, the batteries might not last as long, so keep that in mind. Always make sure the batteries are fully charged and stored in a safe area. Next is a good SD card. The SD card is one of the most important pieces of gear you can bring because it's what collects all of the footage. Compared to photos, videos take up a lot more storage, so keep that in mind before going out. I recommend at least a 32GB SD card, but a 64GB or even a 128GB card would be even better if you can afford it. Also, keep in mind that most drones require micro SD cards, so if you have a normal sized card from your camera, you sadly can't use that with your drone. You have to buy a separate one. The last piece of equipment I'll recommend you have is an ND filter. They are literally just sunglasses for your camera and allow you to shoot with a slower shutter speed, which I'll cover more later. And before we start filming, we should look at and adjust some of the default gimbal settings on your drone so we can get the camera to flow and move as smoothly as possible. I'll be honest and say that I only recently started adjusting my gimbal settings from default, but after doing so, I can see a big difference in the shots I capture now. Also, all of these settings and graphics are coming from the DJI app because I use a DJI drone. If you have a different type of drone, you might want to do some more research to see what the best gimbal settings are for your specific drone. So first, we'll tap the 3 little dots in the top right corner, click Control, and click Gain and Expo Tuning. Once we're in here, we can see there are 3 different types of settings: Cine, Normal, and Sport. For this video, we are just going to stay in normal mode. Max angular velocity basically controls how fast the drone turns left or right, also known as yaw. If we crank it up all the way to 90 degrees per second and turn our drone, we see how ugly and choppy the footage looks. I would change it to around 30 degrees per second. The setting directly underneath, labeled yaw smoothness, will control how fast the drone starts turning and how fast it comes to a stop after turning. If we put this to around 5, we see that when I stop pushing the left stick, the drone will immediately stop. If we crank this setting up to 100, we see that the drone will now have a graduated start and stop. Personally, I like this setting to be around 50 to 80, as I find that gives me a nice central point of control and flow. The next settings, labeled Expo, control how much signal goes to the drone depending on how much you move the stick. Basically, do you have to slam the stick all the way to one side, or can you gently press it a few millimeters to get the movement you want? For the yaw setting, which is in the middle, the higher the number, like 0.9, means the more movement you'll get with a small stick movement. This is also shown as a very vertical line on the graph. If we push the yaw setting all the way down to 0.1, or a more horizontal line on the graph, the more we have to press the stick to get any kind of movement. For the other settings, pitch controls the speed at which your drone moves forward and backward, and roll is how it moves sideways. Again, if you put pitch and roll to 0.9, the drone will automatically move when you just tap the stick, and vice versa if it's at 0.1. And then the up-down setting is for when your drone goes up or down and is affected similarly to how the other expo settings are affected. For me personally, I keep all of the expo settings around 0.25. The last setting section controls the gimbal's movement. The max control speed controls the sensitivity with the gimbal wheel or dial on the controller. It will control how fast the gimbal moves, down or up, depending on how hard you turn that dial. If you have it at 100 degrees per second, by briefly tapping the dial, the gimbal will immediately go down or up. I like to keep the setting around 15 to 30 degrees per second. The tilt smoothness is exactly the same as the yaw smoothness setting we were just going over. It controls how much buffer will occur when rotating that dial. I like to keep this setting between 20 and 30. Just think that the higher the number, the more sensitive the control will be to any kind of touch. If you maybe have clumsy or shaky fingers, then a lower number for all of these settings might be better for you, as you would have to really push the stick or dial one way or another to move the drone in the way you want. Now, by just adjusting these settings, you are well on your way to taking awesome cinematic videos, mainly because these settings force you to make slow and smooth movements. From here, we can get into the fun stuff, which is actually recording videos. Now, let's go over the different video buttons on your drone. Most drones will have a video button on the remote control or the screen that starts and stops recording video. There's also a button that can switch between photo mode and video mode. So the first thing you'll want to do is make sure you can select video mode. From here, you can press the red button and begin filming. Of course, it's important to familiarize yourself with these buttons and make sure you know how to start and stop recording before you take off. Now let's talk about frame rate. Frame rate refers to the number of frames per second that are captured when you're recording video. A higher frame rate means smoother motion and less motion blur. Most drones offer several different frame rate options, usually ranging from 24 to 120 frames per second. It's important to choose the right frame rate for the type of shot you're trying to capture. For example, if you're shooting a slow motion video, you'll want to shoot at 60 frames per second or 120 frames per second. For normal speed video, it's best to shoot at 30 frames per second. And while on the subject of frame rate, we can start to talk about other settings like shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. A good rule of thumb for filming any video is to have your shutter speed be double your frame rate. This ensures that you get a nice, natural, and flowy look to your video. For example, if you're shooting at 30 frames per second, you should have a 1/60th second shutter speed because 30 times 2 equals 60. Another example is if you're shooting at 60 frames per second, you would just multiply that by 2, getting you 120, so you know you would film with a 1/120 second shutter speed. If you don't follow this rule, you can end up with jittery footage that isn't that nice to look at. You can see from these two examples just how much of a difference there is by just getting your shutter speed correct. This is also where an ND filter comes into play. Since you usually want to have your shutter speed be around 1/60th of a second for the nice smooth footage, your video can tend to look very bright because a lower shutter speed brightens the image up. So in order to compensate, you can put on an ND filter, remember, just like sunglasses for your camera, and the image will get darker and be better exposed. This allows you to shoot at a lower shutter speed without getting an overexposed video. In most situations, an ND16 filter will be just fine. If you're filming in complete broad daylight, an ND32 filter might work even better. The higher the number, the darker the ND filter is. While we won't go into too much detail about aperture and ISO in this video, it's important to remember that these settings can also affect the look of your video. Aperture controls the depth of field or the amount of the shot that's in focus, while ISO controls the sensitivity of the camera to light. For my drone, it has a fixed aperture of f2.8, so I cannot change it. For ISO, I always try and keep it at 100 or as close to 100 as possible. This helps give me a clean and noise-free video. Another setting you should pay attention to is the aspect ratio. Most drones nowadays can film in 1080p and 4K. Both of these settings are great to use, so if your drone doesn't have 4K shooting abilities, don't worry about it. Unless a specific client requests to have the footage in 4K or higher, 1080p will still give you great results. One of the last settings I'm going to cover are color profiles. These color profiles basically determine which aspects of the image to preserve, whether that be highlights, shadows, midtones, and more. In the world of drones, specifically DJI, you'll mainly hear of three: D-Cinelike or D-Log, HLG, and normal. Now, your drone might not have all of these options, but if it has at least two of them, it can be helpful to know what each of them do and which one you should choose. I have the DJI Air 2S, and I have access to all three. So let's see what each of them look like. First, if you want to access them for DJI drones, you go to the three little dots in the top right-hand corner, click camera, and then you'll see them all there next to color. The first profile we'll look at is normal. This option is great if you're happy with the colors and contrast that come straight out of the drone. If you have editing software, some pilots like to drop their footage in there and change up the colors, brightness, contrast, etc. This is known as color grading. If you're not interested in color grading your footage, or you just want to easily share your footage, then normal is a great mode to choose. The next profile is D-Log or D-Cinelike, depending what drone you have. D-Log is DJI's version of a completely flat log footage profile. This means that it maintains the highlights and shadows, but requires further editing to bring out the colors and contrast of the clip. This profile is great for anyone that wants to color grade their footage in editing and really push their footage in a unique way. D-Log can be very demanding on your computer, so make sure you have a strong computer to handle the footage and edit it to your liking. Straight out of the camera, D-Log looks very bland and boring to look at, but gives way for you to adjust the colors, contrast, highlights, and shadows in any way you like. The last color profile is HLG. HLG creates the most vivid colors straight out of your drone compared to any other color profile. It also produces good shadow and highlight detail. Again, this profile will give you really saturated colors and detailed footage. Here are the color profiles next to each other with no editing done. Now let's get into the really fun stuff: the different techniques and shots you can start doing today with your drone. Here are 5 of my favorite and most used techniques to do. First up is flying in a straight path. This technique is extremely simple, but can be very effective. Depending on your scene, flying directly straight or sideways can be a great way to introduce a scene or just have a peaceful clip to showcase the area. For this shot, all you're going to do is find a path where it's safe to fly straight and slowly push the right stick up, allowing the drone to fly in a straight line. Again, this is a very simple shot, but it can lead to some cool results. The second shot is flying with your camera pointed straight down. This is similar to the first shot, but just from a different perspective. First, you'll rotate your gimbal all the way down to -90 degrees. In my case, I can do that by using a dial on the back of my controller. From here, you do the same movement as number 1, which is pushing the right stick up and flying straight. This technique can be a cool perspective that you can only achieve with a drone. I've used this in many scenarios, from the beach to the forest to the desert. Play around with it and see what you can get. The third shot is orbiting a subject. To do this, you will pick a direction you want to rotate and push the right stick slowly in that direction. As you're doing that, you want to press the left stick in the opposite direction. This will give an orbiting effect. Orbiting shots can be great to showcase any kind of subject and make it look dramatic. I almost always use orbits in any shoot I do. Just remember to go slowly and to especially push the sticks slowly. This will ensure a cinematic and smooth feel. The fourth technique is what I like to call big world. You start close up on a person and then slowly fly back and up until you reveal the entire location around that person. This one is great if you want to reveal a beautiful location and also give it some perspective at the same time. A trick with these is to speed the middle part up in editing so you can get to the big reveal shot faster if that fits in your edit. You can also do these in many different variations, so have some fun with it. The fifth and final technique I'll share with you today is tilting the camera up or down while flying straight. To pull this shot off, you will fly straight with your camera pointed down, usually around 90 degrees. As you continue to fly straight, slowly start to turn that gimbal dial so the gimbal starts to rotate upward. Keep doing this until the gimbal is flat or at 0 degrees. A little trick is when approaching 0 degrees, start to press the dial even softer. If you don't, the gimbal will abruptly stop at 0 and the shot will look a little clunky. This is great for any type of shot where you want to get a dramatic reveal or also just showcase the area around. All of these do require some practice, especially the last 3, but just give it time. I can guarantee that there will be times when you mess up, accidentally go too fast, too slow, or just hit the wrong stick. Don't worry, we've all been there before. It takes time to build up muscle memory for which stick controls what, especially when you have to control both sticks and adjust the dial at the same time. But trust me, the practice will pay off, giving you a wide array of shots and movements that will make your videos stand out. And now that you know the basics of drone videography, it's time to take things to the next level. In our next video, we'll be going over the basics of composition, lighting, and planning your shots out. That's all I've got for you today. Thanks for watching our beginner's guide to drone videography. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. From everyone here at the UAV Coach team, we're wishing you blue skies and safe flying. I'll see you next time.